question to start with. Um, only been 35. I think I've lived a couple of lives already. It's been pretty varied. I've been through some interesting sort of situations in my life, and also I think it's fairly relatable as well to the modern man, or just a typical person. The sort of stuff that I've been through that sort of people don't really speak about or haven't spoken about, or it's only just been starting to be okay to talk about. I'm leaving it a little bit ambiguous, but we'll get into it anyway.
So on the document that you provided me with, which is your blog, you started talking about your childhood. So should we
Yeah,
start there?
yeah, we can
All
start
your
there.
time in Cheshire, um,
Yeah,
in the mud, in the countryside. Do you want to go over that a little bit?
yeah. So I grew up fairly rural with my twin brother, where we lived on and worked at a farm. My dad was a farmer for many years up until I was about maybe like 15, 16. So like most of our youth was like down on the farm. We had two friends there who their their father, their grandfather owned the farm, and so they were like a year older than us, and a year younger, and we all went to the same school, and so we hung out all the time, just messing about on bikes, like they were playing footy in the fields, getting into a bit of trouble, setting fires here and there, just jacking about and doing what kids did. And then as we grew a little bit older, we all took on a little bit more responsibility, and actually did some actual farming work as well, alongside us showing the public around the farm. Sort of once my dad left farming, it wasn't really for me at all. I was destined for something different, and sort of throughout high school, I really wanted to do acting. That was something that I really enjoyed, but I was also really passionate about music as well, and always did enjoy music. And sort of meandered to that. At 18, I went to university for the first year, and I just actually really didn't enjoy acting at that point. Music sort of become a bit more prevalent, so I quit university and joined a band. And that's sort of how I was introduced to you through our mutual friend Brandon. I spent 6 years in a band with Brandon. He toured over 30 countries, 40 states of the US. Then we played around 500 shows together, and sort of that was a really young spell. I was like 19 to 24, where they'd experienced like touring on a DIY basis, and like self-sufficiently. The band was successful in its own right. You still got music out on Spotify and all those sort of things. People still listen to it year on year, but like, we still listen to you guys, and that's always class to hear. I joined after that broke up, I joined a few more different projects, heavy music, even though that was sort of like a punk rock, pop punk outfit. Heavy music's always been my sort of passion and what I enjoy. So I joined a metalcore band and then a hardcore band, and I finally sort of my last endeavor in music was from like sort of 2015 to 2019 at a band called Parting Gifts, where we were sort of relatively successful and did a bunch of great tours about some amazing music, some stuff that I'm still really proud of. Right now, I still listen to. My best friend Zach, who actually sang in that band, lives up here in the Lake District with me. So we run together every week. He's just had a son. So that's like amazing, still part of my life. But sort of after I left that band, I had a bit of a crisis with my own mental health, my identity. And I've sort of spent the last sort of 6 years up until now trying to figure what my passion is, or what my life sort of entails, or what I should be doing, or what I think I should be doing anyway. So there's a long story short for you.
Yeah. So in general, it seems like you've kind of found your way back to your roots, back to your Cheshire hometown, in the farm, running around. Yeah. I think a lot of people end up going back to their roots, don't they?
Yeah,
That's something that you highlighted in your document as well. So you've got quite a few kind of questions for the readers to think about. And one of them was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was, what did you do in your childhood that kind of stuck with you? It was something along those lines.
yeah. So it's sort of me. I was trying to sort of always try and think about, like, I don't always try to think about a learning situation because there isn't always something to learn. But what sort of stuck with me now that I sort of like like do is you've got to make sure you have fun and enjoy what you're doing. And even down to the activity of cycling is something that opened up the outdoor world for me up here in the Lake District. But it's a little bit different as to where I'm from, and like back in Cheshire, where it's quite flat. There is outdoor space, but there's not. You go for a walk on a Sunday afternoon, but it's usually to the pub. Here, we're out in the mountains. We're running, hiking, cycling, and I think just primarily being outdoors is like the biggest thing that sort of has brought me back to my youth. Is spending that time outside. You know, as we were kids. Once we moved off the farm, we lived on an estate, and you ride around like you're on your bikes until the lights came on, and then it's time to come home. And it's similar here, like, oh, it's night time, we're gonna have to go home, and I think that's the biggest thing is sort of what did you enjoy as a kid that you can still enjoy as an adult, and that you can still have that inner child like develop and play with. Plays not just for children, it's totally for adults as well. And so I think that's what I've sort of said, like the outside space is something that I've always like really enjoyed. Even if it wasn't something prevalent within my 20s, I could still appreciate it for what it is. But now I understand it more.
It's something quite important to consider, isn't it? Because when you're a child, you're not influenced by peers or social media or anything like that. Like, you like what you like, if you know what I mean. So if you like spending time outside, you know that that's probably something that you're going to continue to like because it's true
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah, it's that authenticity, isn't it? I think about enjoying it for exactly what it is. Like you say, no pressure. It's not cool. Like being in a band is like cool, like quote unquote, and that's easily identifiable to the masses. But like going outside is something that everybody does, right? So like the relatability is there, which is I think that's key sort of for my message and what I do. But it is something for everyone.
Yeah. I just want to talk about the contrast between obviously growing up in Cheshire on a farm and the band. So you said something that I thought was quite good. It was always make sure you're doing what you love. Did you love touring and being in a band at the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my identity fully. So from what was I, 19 to 29, so like 10 years of actual touring. I've been playing music before that as well, since I was sort of 14. Again, like through our mutual friend Brandon, like if you spoke to Brown about our times touring, like, he said, we're just road dogs, man. Like get me in the van, get me in where whatever country we'd be in, making new friends, meeting new people, playing different venues. Touring was something I felt that I was like really, really good at. Quite adaptable, malleable, and just really good with like new environments, or sort of reading the room with new people as well, and all those sort of things. So something that was like I was extremely proud of, not only being like a great touring musician, but also like a touring peer as well. So helping people like even like bandmates, if they're missing home, they're struggling being away, or somebody's having a nightmare with some sort of gear. I always sort of like don't ask, don't get. So if we're having any issues, we can speak to people and see what we can do with it. And so touring is something that I sort of, and I still think now, like when I go away, I'm like pretty confident in where I'm going and what I'm doing. If I can find something, yeah, touring is something that I always felt like I was really good at.
Yeah. So you say that you really like touring, but eventually you decided to leave the band. You don't need to go into any specifics, but what was the general reason for your change?
I was jaded, man, and tired. And I think a lifestyle like that, although it's incredible, catches up to you very quickly. 10 years of living between places, living with, like an ex-partner, friends, those sort of things, is a transient lifestyle. While suited me while I was young, sort of like 19 to maybe like 27, 28. But when I was coming towards my like the start of my 30s, I felt it was like a knock on my own mental health. I was struggling with some of my peers within the band, definite personality clashes, and also to the fact that I felt like I'd achieved most things that I'd wanted to within music anyway, put records out, tour the US, like, and I felt like my gratitude towards just the project as a general. I wasn't sort of grateful. I didn't enjoy it, and it got to a sort of point where um, I was sort of well, not questioning my own sort of sanity as to whether I actually it was me because I'd done it for so long, but was it me because I enjoyed it and still wanted to do it? Probably
Some
not, but I felt
question.
like, yeah, because I felt like I should. And after you've done something for so many years, and typically I think in men as well, we do it because that's what we've done, you know? And I didn't see any other sort of anything else jump out at me. I didn't know a life beyond the band, but I just knew that the time wasn't right anymore, and that it had to be my sort of step aside for me and to try and fix my relationships with the people within the band before it sort of went totally pear-shaped, and to fix that relationship with myself because I lost so far. I was so far from who I ever was in that first place. I did not know who I was. And I think that's the really probably like the catalyst that was like, I don't know who I am anymore. Who is Nick Barlow? Like, what's going on? That was like, yeah, that's what sort of pushed me towards the change, really.
Yeah, it sounds like that kind of pathway is quite common in music. Like, saw a documentary on Avicii. Sounds like he was kind of similar. He was kind of getting pushed and pushed to produce and produce more and more, and then that lifestyle eventually caught up with him. But I think a lot of people who get into music feel almost trapped, because there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of expectation on you to perform. And I get that you'd probably feel like guilty or something for not performing, but at the end of the day, you have to look after yourself, don't you?
Yeah, and I think like music's so hard because it is personal. Um, I'm a bassist, but like I sort of took pride in like song structures, but also I was good at stuff outside of writing music as well. But there's so much personal pressure on that because you've got so much emotion tied to it. Um, and like I think most musicians do it for themselves, and it's a bonus that like hundreds of thousands or millions of people like their music. That's fantastic. Like that's our creative outlet. But there's definitely like a darker side to it. I think now our use of social media and stuff like that is sort of you can see through it a bit more. But it's it's definitely not everything that we think it is, you know.
Yeah. Looks very glamorous from the outside, doesn't it? But until you're in it, I don't think you can truly empathize or understand what it feels like.
No, and like sort of like my Instagram stories, you know, like look, here I am in, I don't know, Berlin today. It looks cool, but like I've been a shivering, wrecking mess in a van because I feel so anxious at the fact that like I'm not at home with the people I should be or looking after myself like I should be because I've had another argument with one of these other people in the band, and it questions so many sort of corners of you. But we only ever see the good stuff, you know, and that's sort of something try to. I ain't no influencer or anything like that, but I try to post the good shit and the bad shit, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
especially with the sort of journey and the trajectory that I'm on now. I think that's super important to keep it relatable to show other people the actual reality to like people's lives, not that it's all sunshine and rainbows.
I don't think that this was mentioned in your blog, but was anyone else in your band struggling with this? Or were they aware that you were struggling with it?
I'd say I'd had conversations with my singer at points where he's a little younger than me, but he knew that I was sort of like struggling. I've got my dog. Well, he's not my dog. He's my housemate's dog. Just gonna say hi. Hi, Cody. Come out. Cody. Come away. Away. Come on. Out. 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 No. Off the bed. Down. Down. Go down. Cody, come. Sorry, Jake. Wait a minute. Cody, come.
That's all right.
Good boy. I didn't know when they were coming back, and they're back. We'll start that question again. Sorry, can you add the question again, mate?
We can leave that in, actually. It's quite funny. It was, we were talking about if anyone else in your band was struggling with the same thing or knew that you were struggling as well.
Yeah, so Zach definitely knew that I was struggling, and because he was sort of he's still like one of my closest and my best friends now. He knew sort of where I was up to and sort of where I towed the line to, and also we sort of had like an agreement that like we give it until X amount of time and then that'll be us sort of thing. But I definitely reached a point where I was like, it was on what it was a tour supporting a band called Neck Beat, and I was like, bro, I'm done. We had a great we had I think it was our second London headline, Blinder, sold out, incredible, and I just been like, I was so like the show was amazing, but the before and afterwards, I was like, I don't think this is me anymore. Like, I don't want to be here. I enjoy those 30 minutes while I'm on stage, but after the fact, I'm like, I'm not even bothered. And I thought, because like if you're not bothered, that something's not resonating with you anymore. Um, and he sort of understood where I was coming from. And again, I think I had that internal conflict of like, I think I should be doing this, but I don't feel like I felt guilty that I was because I wasn't being authentic with it anymore. And I think I don't know if he struggled with it as well. I mean, he left soon after I did for his own reasons, but like we'd both done music for such a long time where it was like if it wasn't sort of not instantaneous reward, but our reward was measurable to the fact that we thought where we should be, we didn't want to do it anymore, if that makes any sense. And so yeah, I think to answer the question, like the whole band knew, but to what level,
Yeah. A bit of a follow-up question then. Did you feel any of the stigma, that's associated with men's mental health? I know it's getting better over the years, but I'm just wondering if you felt any of that.
To be totally honest with you, mate, like I've always been like, fuck any stigma of any sort. That's my thing. And if somebody else has got a problem with that, that's probably their problem, not mine. And sort of that's why I've always sort of advocate for men's mental health. Whether I felt vulnerable being vulnerable, I think that's a really big thing. And yes, I did. I think it's still actually up on my Instagram now was my closing statement, which sort of washed over my actual mental health. It said I was having issues and sort of having to take some time for myself and, that I'm still friends with the band and all those sort of things. Did it say that I was like rock bottom, suicidal, depressed, anxious, agoraphobic? It didn't say none of those things, And I think that's maybe then where I felt like the stigma is that you can address it, but that was sugar coated. Could I have been more vulnerable? But I'm like nearly 7 years on now. Would I do it differently? Probably. I don't regret what I said, but I think I'd never felt sort of any stigma because I don't believe that there should be.
That's a
Which
really good.
it might be ignorant. I don't know. Yeah, that's like I said before, that's their problem, not mine.
At the end of the day, it's how you perceive it, isn't it? If you want to help yourself, it's how you perceive it. So if you're capable of not feeling that stigma or, eyes on from other people, then that's perfect, isn't it? That's the best way you want to handle it. I can't imagine anything worse than if you're struggling with this and you're also feeling like people aren't understanding or there is a stigma behind it. That definitely doesn't help. So you mentioned depression in your blog. I want to know what depression actually means for you. Because it means something different to everyone else. But what were you feeling? How did your actions come across? How is depression affecting your life and your everyday? If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really feel like I'm long clear of it now, and I've only ever had flashing moments of it, which is really quite nice and sort of proving to, like, for me, I know what keeps me happy now. But thinking back to it, as soon as I sort of like left the band, it felt like there was no hope at all. And I've always been quite a hopeful, sort of like positive person. And if you'd met me then, I'd probably display quite similar. I've always been like, are they good at like saving face or showing face, but on like masking, some people call it. But it was like effort. There was no effort for anything. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to leave the house. The way it manifested would literally be go to work, do that, come home, eat. No, I mean eat, sit and play video games, isolate myself. I was with an ex-partner at the time, and sort of like I moved back to Cheshire for a year before moving up to here, and like I didn't really see my parents that lived less than a mile away. My grandma was 20 minutes away, and sort of like isolated myself with her. And it was just, and I mean, it was days and days and days of absolutely nothing, just playing video games. It is funny because this week I bought the game, the sequel to when I was in this really like depressive episode of like a year. And it's funny how now my thought processes are, I can just play this for a little bit, but like I need to keep on my shit. And you still notice them coming back in. Sort of Monday's Monday. I find it hard now the weather's changed and it's September and it's a little bit miserable. And I always do a workout on a Monday night with the run club that I'm involved with. And I was like, I could just sit here and continue to play it. I'd be like, no, that's old Nick. But so new Nick does not do any of those sort of behaviors. But I wouldn't have any motivation for for anything. Binge eating was insane. I worked for a Starbucks at the time when I was back. We used to get all the waste food, man, and I'd used to like now after like tracking calories and understanding nutrition and doing that in the last couple of years, I'd eat thousands of calories in an evening and then wondered why I crept up to 21 stone, you know? So that's sort of mostly the way that like my depression sort of like manifested itself. It was like comfort eating and then as a result of that, like severe anxiety due to IBS symptoms because I was eating myself sick, basically.
Now, we've just got a quick word from our first sponsor, the SOBR Society. You don't have to hit rock bottom to decide you want better. Sobriety with Beth is here for the moments when you say, I'm done feeling like this. Whether it's day 1 or year 5, her content is packed with tools that remind you you're not broken, you're just becoming. Sobriety with Beth, your go-to space for ditching the chaos and choosing clarity, whether you're just starting your sober journey or you're a few years in. Beth brings the real talk, the tough love, and the kind of support that actually sticks. I've followed her content for a while now, and let me tell you, it's not about perfection, it's about making progress. From weekly tools to mindset shifts and the community vibe you didn't know you needed, she gets it. So if you're ready to feel good without the booze, check out Sobriety with Beth. Thank you. Now back to the podcast. Yeah, it just sounds like a vicious cycle. You know, you eat to feel better, and then because you've eaten loads, you feel worse, and then that just keeps on going. But you mentioned IBS there as well. So I mentioned this to you before, but I have ulcerative colitis. So I had it for about 2.5 years now, and I understand what it's like. For about 2 years, I didn't have any medication, and it's awful. I know exactly what it's like. And for people who haven't had this, I don't think they can truly understand it because it's more than just stomach problems and pain. It's fear of going on long drives, or like for me, for example, I play ice hockey, and there's a rule you're not allowed to go number 2 on the bus.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, if we're traveling to Dundee or something like that, which is like a 6-hour trip, you know, that's not very fun. Like I tried to keep going with ice hockey. This was when I was playing at professional level, but eventually it just got a bit too much because I was dropping weight because I wasn't absorbing anything. I had no energy, felt sick, uncomfortable, and it really did it. It knocked me a little bit. I don't think I've really ever fully recovered. I mean, I've only just got well. I've just started some new medication that's sorted me out completely.
Fantastic.
But yeah, that's taken about 2.5 years for me to get to this point. And I've only just really started feeling it, like my mental health has got better because I'm able to do more and feel good doing more.
Yeah. It's
Go on.
No, it's insane because when somebody goes like you are what you eat, or like if you exercise you feel better, when you're in that state of mind, you don't believe anyone. And like I listened to, we spoke about this before, but like a load of Chris Williamson, Joe Rogan, even some like music related stuff, and all these sort of like athletes that talk about wellness with just within food and sleep. 5 years ago, I definitely wouldn't have believed like at all. But now, like similarly to you, it's sort of taken maybe 2.5, maybe a little less time. I'm so thankful to my girlfriend Bridget because she's been one that's really helped me recognize like typical and non-typical behaviors that will contribute to me usually probably irrational about like the way that I'm using the toilet, going to the toilet, eating foods, those sort of things because of the way that my mind works around it. I got diagnosed with IBS when I was 9, and like I don't know how helpful that is for any 9-year-old to be like, oh yeah, you've got a bit of a dicky stomach, but what's that going to look like for you in literally like 20 plus years? And like you, sort of, it restricted me to a point where I didn't leave the house. Like when I was back in Cheshire for that year, I barely I barely went anywhere. Like I said to you, mum and dad are around the corner. That's about it. You know, I didn't. It took me. So I moved back in February 2019, and my brother had already moved to the Lake District, and it took him basically till that November to be like, I've booked you a holiday. Come to the lakes, and I'll show you around for me to go. Oh, okay. And then that still had its barriers, its caveats, just because of the way that like I was eating or the way that I was feeling about myself. And that is just the such a dangerous cycle, um, to where like you have to break it. And it took me moving here and understanding those patterns of behavior, and even now 2 years sort of like into training and understanding and nutrition and all those sort of things is where I realize how maybe blinkered I was or ignorant I was to it, but like, help as well. And I'm now trying to reverse everything that I did those, 10 years of being depressed or anxious and finding my comfort in food.
Yeah. It sounds like we had kind of completely different reactions to our stomach problems. I couldn't stop moving. I had to keep going, but I would find ways to make it work. So on game days, I wouldn't drink and I wouldn't eat anything because I just couldn't risk it. It made me more sick, but it was a way for me to keep going. If I had the option, I'd go back and I'd do it differently. I'd probably just take a bit off hockey and then go and find a solution as quickly as possible. I can't believe it took me 2 years to get something. And I'm not blaming the NHS for this. It was slow, but I could have sped it up. Anyway, moving on. Andrew. So one of the questions that I had for you was, what was different about Andrew's request for you to come and join him? It sounds like there was something a little bit different about that one, and you decided to go for it, maybe out of hope, or I'm not sure. You tell me.
Um, he's my twin brother, man. He's my ride or die. My best mate, my worst enemy, all of them rolled in together. But I think because I'd spent most of my life with him, we've been in like many sort of like situations. I trust him the most. He's the most honest with me, and I'm the most honest with him as well. And I think, like I said, like when he said, you've got to come see me. I think one thing was like that. All right, I feel guilty. He spent a couple of £100 on me to go and have a holiday, so I bet I had to go and have a holiday with him. But also, I was like, maybe he is right. He's banging on how good this place is. Maybe it's actually not too bad. Because I was back in that town that I sort of grew up in. I was like, I need to leave here. Like, I'd lived in Manchester for like 10 years, and that small town just wasn't suited for me anymore. And I think I just had maybe like there was that glimmer of hope back that I could have a new life and something could change and it could be a bit more interesting. And it was that I trusted my brother to sort of guide me. It's funny because even though we're identical twins, I'm 2 minutes older. So everybody's always called him like the little brother. And maybe I need to like be led by my little brother once and see how that goes. And once he'd shown me around for that weekend, and I mean it pissed it down the whole weekend, like it usually does here in November. I was like, this is cool. I can see myself here. Let's just give it a try. And like he had a little friendship group up here. And then most of my other friends, like they were either off like in a band or like starting families, and I was just in a different sort of part of my life. So you got to take a hit on something or take a chance. And yeah, so I took that chance, and I think it's literally down to trust of my brother and knowing that I'll be all right because I'm up here with him.
Do you think you would have found your way to this point if he didn't invite you?
That's such a good question, man. Who knows? Like, is that's the butterfly effect, and that's the most powerful thing in it, right? Like, I'm so glad, like, I made that decision to move up here, and then like sort of like that kickstarted me with the outdoors, and then we got into, well, he's always been into bikes, but I got into bikes, and so that was the start of to, like, my fitness journey. And then I hired Rudy, and like he's not only my PT, but he's like my best one of my best mates now, you know. And if it wasn't without him, I wouldn't run, and I wouldn't help out with Run Club. I wouldn't be training for an ultra marathon this year. Like, um, there's just so many what ifs. Um, I don't actually know where I'd be, really.
It's
Maybe would have
kind of
gone
an
back at,
impossible question, isn't it?
yeah. And like I liked it because when I was back in that town that I used to live in, I was still dabbling in music, and like maybe it'd still be in a band, maybe I'd still be producing and still be on the music thing. But I'm glad I'm not.
I mean, it really sounds like you found what you were meant to do. And I want to go into that a little bit more. So, two of your big passions now,
Yeah,
cycling and running. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah.
So,
So like, yeah,
cycling and running. So, you were 21 stone, I think you said before. You mentioned the Couch to 5K. And I just want to go through that process. So, from kind of the heaviest you've been, not sure if you could run for a minute, like in your blog said, and to now doing. Are you training for ultra marathons, or have you done out
yeah,
ultra
yeah.
marathons?
I'm training for one in November.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just walk me through that a little bit. So the progression, how long it takes,
yeah.
what you struggled with, what you really impressed with. I just want to know a bit more.
I think like anyone who wants to start running Couch 5K is a solid way to start, just because the way that they break you into running, we're not looking at distance, we're not looking at how fast it is or anything like that. It's literally about time on feet. And so when I first started, it was back in 2020, and I've dipped in and out of it. Only sort of the last 2 years have I really taken training seriously. I do CrossFit as well. Sort of like running and cycling's like my adventure thing. Running's like my let's push ourselves to like our limits sort of thing, because I'm typically not a runner build. After being, 21 stone, you could earn me away. But yeah, Couch to 5K sort of easily progresses you to be able to run for 5 kilometers, and it doesn't matter how fast it is. And I think that's so important. You see loads of sort of reels being like, "Yo, look how fast I can do this, or how far I can do this." But like, let's remember, all effort is relative. And again, about those time on feet. So I think by the time I could first like run a 5K, it took me like 45 minutes, but it didn't matter because those 3 miles 5K was such a big achievement for me. And because they make it so incremental, I can't remember how many weeks. I think it's maybe over like 12 to 16 weeks that they do it. You really gradually build it, and it just makes it manageable for anyone at all. Like, if somebody says to me, "Oh, I want to start running, see what you do with Run Club. I want to come and do a 5K. How do I start?" I go Couch to 5K every time. And because that really helped me as well. Like, I had many disadvantages. I've got no ACL in my right knee. I've got arthritis in it. I was super heavy, and like the doctor said, you can't run, you're too heavy. Or you can't run because your knee. And I've just proven that really you can. You need to lose weight. Being overweight is, super hard if you are trying to run, because of the impact on your joints and the rest of your body. But sorry, I sort of digressed there. But it's just such a good way to get into running. And I think like run clubs are super popular now as well. And that's also like another great level of accountability too. That's what's really helped me push me further and faster. Sort of um not only doing sort of Couch to 5K. So as I mentioned, Rudy, he's one of my closest friends, but he also runs a run club called 40 that I sort of occasionally help out with. Or I'm at most sessions anyway. I enjoy it. It's a big part of our community up here, and it's something sort of I fly the flag for. And back in May 24, I hadn't really done any running up until sort of, well, until then, really. And because I've seen what he was doing with 4-0, I was like, bro, I would love to run again. Let's stick to my own program. Let's see how we get it on. So sort of like 12 weeks later, I bought some running trainers. I tried a few 5Ks and I was like, all right, I can do this. I was like, and only on a Friday morning, we used to do like a social run, or we still do social runs, but it was only 10K. It was a 60-minute time cap. And I was like, I can't do that, man. Like, I'd love to be able to. That's something for me to work towards. But could we do a 5K? Um, let's see what we could do. And he was like, yeah, we'll do a 5K, but it's your problem. And so I sort of first started leading the 5Ks back then. There's only four of us. Now we get like 40 or 50 people on a Friday morning just running 5K, let alone like the 20 odd people on the 10K as well. And I think that sort of just shows that like that couch to 5K was such an initial like powerful thing of, oh, I want to see if I can tried running, did fine at it, and sort of my tenacity, yeah, like sort of my tenacious personality of just trying to chip away and get a little bit better, stay dedicated towards it, to now where I'm leading runs on a Friday morning of 5Ks is quite a full circle, really.
Do you think you shocked yourself then?
I think when I look back, man, because like the progression is so like the progression is linear and it's you can see it, it's like it's from this get like it's two different people. If you look at 21 stone Nick versus like 14-11 Nick, what I am now, and I don't think about that enough,
Yeah.
like
I
at all.
mean, when you look back on it, it's quite easy to see, oh yeah, well, he got from here to there by doing this. But when you're in that first position, it's really hard to see that end position. And I think that's why Couch 5K is so good, because you can see the minute long run is not too hard. And if you just focus on that next goal, eventually those goals add up and you get to where you are now. If you are 21 stone, you say, right, I need to lose 5 stone. That's a
Yeah,
big jump and
yeah,
probably not visible for someone. Whereas if you look at doing the actions rather than the big goal, um, I think a lot more people can achieve what they're looking for by focusing on the actions rather than the numbers.
yeah. And it's those day to day like habitual sort of like habits that we sort of have to embed for ourselves. I tracked calories, input output. It's as simple as that. Made sure I ran twice a week. Make sure I did strength twice a week. The best thing I ever did was hire a PT, sort of point me in the right direction of all these things and have some um, accountability. And it's those baby steps, like you say. If you look at something, it's mad. Like let's give it like a cake analogy. Me and you tried to sit down and like eat a full cake now. That'd be overwhelming. But if we had a slice a day for a week, it'd soon go quickly. Do you know what I mean? And so that's what you sort of have to do with those goals and targets is just one thing at a time, one day at a time. So like today it's strength. So get up, go to the gym, eat well. That's me done for today. I've got interval training tomorrow. So that'll be the same, but interval training tomorrow. And I just try to look at it as a day by day thing. Like I say, I'm training for an ultra at the minute and like it was a 60 to 90 minute run this week just on my long run, but now it's like a 90-minute run. And I think, oh Christ, I couldn't run for 20 minutes like, 2 years ago. But a 90-minute run now seems like fairly attainable, especially the way I've been feeling recently. So try not to think the bigger picture is always great, and that's great to have a goal. But what are those like subdivisions of goals that are going to get you there?
Yeah. I think goals should be really personal as well. They don't work if your goal is to be as good as someone else. It doesn't work like that. You should strive to be the best that you can be. And that's different for absolutely everyone.
And that's something that I've really been aware of because I've moved into like a fitness space now. Like really, he's an ex-Marine. The man's a machine. Zach, who also like in the band, he's an amazing runner. But if I compare myself to my best friends, like even though I love them and they love me, it's quite demoralizing because I can't do what they can do. But if I stay in my own lane and go, all right, I can lead a 5K, I can run this at this, I can do this. oh, maybe I can train for this, and it's way more manageable. And I think that's what everybody should do is like look at themselves, look at, have that gratitude for yourself of what you can do and stay in your lane and don't focus on anyone else. Nobody else actually gives a shit. That goes for like stepping inside the gym or anything else like that. Um, just focus on what you're doing. Don't look at how many reps somebody else can do versus what you can do. Don't look at how, like, just last week, I said to Rudy, oh, it's the fastest I'd ever ran. I was doing pretty quick kilometer efforts for me, but I was still in one of the back groups. And then I had to remember, so we had a reality check conversation, be like, remember, like, comparison is the theft. Theft is the, I don't know, what's the comparison?
Thief.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I've never done that. Why am I doing that now? Just because I'm getting so like better at it. Check yourself, Nick. Come back. Focus on what you're doing.
So what's the plan for you now? Are you happy with the pace that you're going at? Do you want to pick things up? Do you want to take things back a little bit? Like what's your goal?
I think now I'm into fitness. It's only gonna get sort of like faster, longer, harder. Because again, all effort's relative, right? And I still want to improve on things. And I don't think there's a ceiling to these things until you say that you're done. I want to see if I can finish an ultra. I'm pretty sure I will. Whether that means I'll end up racing them at some point, maybe. But I'm just sort of enjoying the process and just seeing like, again, I mean, like this is an early sort of start. I've been competing in CrossFit and stuff like that as well, just to see how well I can do or how well I can do within a team. And it's just good fun. And I think as long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I think we're almost coming to a close now. But is there one sentence that you'd like to tell people? What would you want people to know or take away from this podcast?
Oh, okay. It's hard because there's so many different perspectives. I think sort of from like having been in so many bleak, dark places, there always is some hope. There always is a light shining. You just have to fucking look for it. I operated on practicing gratitude for years and just trying to find the little things that pick me back up. So I'd always say, look for the light. There's always some hope. Remember, all effort is relative, and that like what you can do is amazing. We're amazing people. Just put your mind to it because that'll mind is often more powerful than body, and you get out what you put in with those sort of things. But yeah, always look for the light because I really do think there's always a way forward out of whatever shit situation that you're in.
You know what? That actually looks like this quote that I've written out from your blog. It's this is my story, not polished, not perfect, but real. It's proof that no matter how deep the hole feels, there's a way out, step by step, mile by mile. We all have the capacity to move towards wellness. So, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
We'll say goodbye then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jake.